Welcome back to Real Estate Mindset. Today's video is going to be absolutely bonkers. Now, the data is in, and America views the current housing market as the worst housing market in history. Americans view this housing market as worse, substantially worse than 2008. So what does that tell us as consumers? To me, it tells us that consumers are rapidly getting beat up, and the more that they're spending and their excess savings dwindles, the sooner that we'll be able to get through this housing market reset. And at least that's just in my opinion, but we don't have to guess how America feels about the housing market, which is absolutely terrible. And you guys, do me a favor, for the effort for this video, like this video, subscribe if you haven't already, shoot me a comment below. Something's happening with YouTube. People are getting unsubscribed and not getting notifications. So understand, guys, I'm dropping my videos at 4 p.m. Please support me. Watch my videos at 4 p.m. But we're going to take a look at sentiment today. We're going to take a look at the emotions today, because what we're learning, y'all, is the emotional aspect of purchasing real estate is extremely dangerous and extremely powerful. So once consumers start to get it, through to themselves that, hey, actually, we should wait out this housing market. Maybe it is a terrible time to buy, right? And why wouldn't it be a terrible time to buy? We have historical high, right? Insanely high payments right now. Payments right now and unaffordability right now, y'all, through the roof, topped with you generally have to settle on a house because currently we have a lack of inventory. I believe that inventory is going to continue to go up. Unfortunately, it might not go up at the pace that I was hoping it will, but regardless, you guys, there's no doubt inventory will continue to go up. So we're going to start with the Hill, and they're going to go over a survey that was given to Americans, basically getting their opinions on the housing market. And here's the beautiful thing about it. Americans are starting to get the big picture, which means, thank God, a lot less people should get burned, hopefully should get burned this time versus last time. I believe, though, this time, a lot more of the elites and a lot more of the rich are going to get hurt and swept away through our economy versus last time, where a lot of that pain was centralized on the consumer. Now, consumers are still going to get pain. Consumers are still going to get hurt. But what's interesting to see is we're seeing the pain start at the top. Very interesting. Let's dig in. So the name of the article is appropriately titled Americans' Views of Housing Market Worst Ever Recorded. Again, worse than 2008. Pretty astonishing. Americans' views of the housing market hit an all-time low this year, with more than 3/4 or more than 75% saying it's a bad time to buy a house, according to a new poll. Gallup's annual economic and personal finance poll found that just 21%, you guys listen, only 21% of U.S. adults believe it's a good time to buy a house, marking only the second time since this poll's inception in 1978 that fewer than half respondents believed it was a good time to buy. So this is only the second time in history that that's been under 50%. And what is it right now, y'all? 21%. So it is substantially lower than the normal 50%. And it is also lower than the sentiment in 2008. Pretty crazy if you think about. The highest confidence level in the poll's history was recorded in 2003 before falling off in the run-up to the 2008 financial crisis. The previous record low was set last year when close to 30% of those surveyed said it was good time to buy a house. So the second worst was last year. Pretty shocking, you guys. The poll's results are based on telephone interviews conducted between April 3rd and 25th with a random sample of 1,013 adults from all 50 states and Washington, D.C. And I want to point out that this was after the banks got bailed out, so the sentiment should actually have been better this time. So the fact that it's still low when people are still buying right now, pretty surprising, you guys, pretty surprising. Home prices and mortgage rates have soared in the past 2 years, while the Federal Reserve battled growing inflation with a series of jumbo interest rate hikes, doubling interest rates in 1 year, which has never happened in history. The effects of the Fed's rate increases trickled down into the housing market and sent mortgage rates selling past 7% between spring and winter in 2022. But rates have moderated and are currently hovering around 6.3%. It's actually about 6.5% as of right now. And housing economists expect the Fed to pause rate increases in the current cycle as inflation shows signs of abating, but not in the housing market, which is where we need the inflation controlled, and that includes shelter and rent as well. As the housing market has cooled, so have Americans' expectations for home values in their areas. Last year, 70% predicted home prices in their area would increase in the next year, and just 56% hold that view this year. So only 56% of homeowners right now that were polled think that they'll actually have equity increases this year. And honestly, y'all, I think it should be much lower. People should go into home ownership, in my opinion, if they're new homeowners, should go in if they decide to buy right now with the expectation that they will not have equity growth for 7 to 10 years. If people purchase real estate with that expectation, they will be in a better situation to handle the recession. And don't forget what I've been telling you guys. More than likely, well-qualified buyers like myself and like you on the sideline, we're going to have to get through the first hit of the recession, potential job loss. So in other words, we have to be super duper strong right now so that we can just get through that first hit. And the thing is I believe that as long as we effectively get through that first hit, any potential job loss, that we will finally be in that position to find the home of our dreams. But again, what have I been saying this whole time? Confirmed recession, Fed pivot, inventory from summer, right? Let's get those things before we really start making any additional decisions moving forward in our home buying. By all means, go look, right? Become an expert in your local housing market. But what I'm saying is we need to control our emotions. And I know you guys, don't worry, okay? I know I'm a consumer as well, and I've lost everything already, and it's still hard for me to be patient, but patience is a virtue for a reason. However, the poll found that expectations for home values still trunch numbers recorded following the housing market crash of 2009 and 2012, when between 22 to 34% of people thought home values would increase. So that aspect as far as home value decline is not as bad as that period of time. But again, they did this poll when home values rebounded. If they would have done this poll, say in January, I guarantee you it would be different, because remember, in January, we were still experiencing a nationwide average of price decline in homes. That shifted around February, and it's going to be interesting to see what the numbers come out with in May. Despite current views on whether it is a good time to buy a house, many Americans still believe real estate is the best long-term investment, according to a separate poll. The poll found 34% of Americans holding that view, which is on par with the typical year. Still, this marked a significant drop-off from record-breaking levels set the previous year. So pretty astonishing flip-flopping, when nearly half said real estate was the best long-term investment. So to me, this is saying that thank goodness people are starting to get it. And what have I been saying, you guys? What am I saying? Am I saying click my video because it has the word crash in it? Or am I saying what we need to do right now is be cautious and also understand this? I love real estate. I think everyone should own real estate and never sell. I think we should all hold our real estate for as long as possible. What I am specifically saying, however, is during times of turbulence, during times when there's a whole bunch of dust in the air, it's a smart decision to sit back and wait. Since when did we have to start rushing purchasing? And if you're an adult and you went through the last crisis, you guys already know that things change. Nothing is permanent. This whole fear of missing out is going to flip like it always does. When did people stop paying attention to the cycles and the trends? All I'm saying, you guys, is it is worth a little bit of caution. Do I know things are going to happen 100%? No, but I do know that most people that purchase a house, it's the largest financial transaction of their life. And unfortunately, most people are very underprepared. And that, my friends, is a fact. So it's good to see that consumers are starting to get it. And why wouldn't they? Take a look at this. This is the Black Knight, we'll just say the affordability chart. And what this measures is household income compared to mortgage payment. So household income compared to mortgage payment. And if we look here, and the unfortunate thing is this is only good to February. If we got this report out today, you guys, this would be much higher. How do I know that? Because payments are higher right now than they were in February. So this is actually low right now. We're probably at a near historical high payment to income ratio post 1990s, right? So if you look here, we're at 33.2%. More than likely, we're at about 35% right now. But the last time we were at this level of unaffordability was in 2007. So one of the reasons why so many people are starting to understand that this is the worst housing market in history is because of the unaffordability. And how did unaffordability happen? It happened two ways. The first way was interest rates skyrocketing upward. But don't forget the second reason, values skyrocketing upward as well. So the combination is a double whammy. And because it's a double whammy and because the equity growth was built on a foundation of money printing from COVID and a lack of fundamentals, I believe that no matter what, we're in for a continuation of a house price correction, crash, or reset. And here's another case in point right here. Here's the median sales price for homes sold in the United States, you guys. And please hear me out here, okay? If we look at the run up, okay, starting in 2022, where I'm at right here, you can see that this bubble right here, it took 5 years, okay? It took 5 years last time to create that bubble, and we lost a lot. Okay, we lost, according to this, and this is quarterly, about 20%. All right, from peak to trough, about 20%. Again, this is quarterly average, so it's going to be a little bit different when we kind of dig in a little bit, but I did want to show you guys that. Now, when we go over here, even a child can see that this run up right here is very historical. It is very unhealthy. It is very scary. So, and this is why I get so bothered with realtors, y'all, because they don't talk about this. All of the people saying, yeah, just send it, hurrah, let's cheerlead, right? Bring this up. Bring this massive thing up because of the supply and inventory. Everything's about supply and demand and inventory. But what they lack is the understanding and comprehension of the fundamentals and how the housing market stays grounded in the first place. But you know what, guys? Their job is to sell you after all. We don't have to guess if prices went down. Look at this massive skyrocket downward. All right, this skyrocket downward trend right here, you guys, represents a price crash that exceeds the speed of the last crash. And here's what's happening, and here's why people aren't getting it. Because as a result of a red hot labor market, excess savings, and limited supply and seasonal trends, okay, home prices have rebounded, just like they did in 2006, just like they've done historically. The reality is, it takes time. Now, I was hoping we would be out of excess savings. The excess savings wouldn't be strong enough and we'd be further along right now, but we're not. And that's a reality. And because of that, I'm telling y'all, consumers right now, not everyone, but there are still some consumers that are saying everything's fine, right? You guys are just crash bros. We've hit the bottom. You've missed the boat. You're going to get trapped renting. Rent's going to go up 10% this year. So there's still people that are pushing that narrative desperately, despite the fact that we had that massive run up and we're just coming out of a massive decline. Again, I'm telling you, excess savings, seasonal trends, predominant reason. But regardless of these current seasonal trends that I believe are happening, I'm still saying regardless overall, when we look at the entire year, it's going to go down way more than it goes up. At least that's what I'm thinking. And here's the good thing. Time will tell. And here's the thing. I'm being cautious. Since when has it been a problem to be cautious? Anytime someone gives you any harassment or wants to bully you all for being cautious about buying real estate, generally we can assume that those people are leeches, that those people just want to sell you no matter what. And why wouldn't they, you guys? That's their livelihood. That's how they put food on their table. But I'm just here to say it's toxic and it's a huge problem. And what the problem is in my opinion, in the business, you guys, is the lack of transparency and the lack of accountability. It's awful. Instead of brokers training their agents how to use data, how to be accountable, how to stay ahead of trends, instead of doing that, they teach them how to cheerlead and rebuttal. The National Association of Realtors sends out to brokers rebuttals. That's why they all say the same thing. They all say the same thing because the National Association of Realtors typically tells them what to say. That's not even the original content. I do get frustrated. Now, before we conclude this video, let's pull up one more article. This is also a good article. I'll leave it in my description if you guys want to access this article and read it on your own without someone that's like yelling into the camera and getting extra spicy like I am. So I'm sorry. But the name of this article is US Consumer Confidence Hits 9-Month Low. Housing Market Bottoming Out. So why isn't there a question mark right there? But anyways, guys, let me take you to the chart and let me show you what we're looking like. So this is consumer confidence, the present versus the future. Now, the current conditions are in green. The expectations are in orange. And you guys can essentially see it is very low. And it hasn't been this low since about what? 2014. So we're at about a 9-year low as far as overall consumer confidence. And really what that should start telling us is consumers are getting absolutely wrecked. In fact, consumer debt right now is $17 trillion. I actually plan on doing a live probably on Friday where we actually go into the health of the consumer in more detail, since I believe that's what's propping up the economy and that's what's propping up the housing market. If only, you guys, if only we can all unite, come up with a decision together and sit this out. Because if we did that, things would heal much faster and there would be a lot less people that get harmed. Innocent people. I'm not talking about the professionals. I'm talking about innocent potential homeowners. In conclusion, this is great news. It's great news because we need the consumer to stop spending money, and preferably stop spending money because they decided to, not because they've spent all of their savings. Now, if you're on the sideline like I'm on the sideline, what I'm doing right now, you guys, is I'm strengthening my purchasing power. I'm not just sitting on the sideline getting lazy. I'm sitting on the sideline frustrated. Yes, a frustrated renter. I get all of that, but I'm also increasing the 3 main things that are needed to buy a house if you're going to get a loan, especially, which is credit, income, and your savings. And on top of that, you guys, that's the loan part. Become an expert in your local housing market. I've been starting to see comments on my channel where people are starting to use the market analysis that I've been showing you guys for the last 6 months to determine whether or not they're getting a great deal. So I'm really hoping you guys are taking those tools and using that ammunition to further your understanding of real estate so you guys can become winners. And really, that's the premise here. But other than that, you guys, I really appreciate you following along with me on this video. And if you're out there investing in real estate, you know I wish you luck and I hope you win.